I am your English teacher Moganapriya speaking. Today, in this class, we are going to see the poem Our Casuarina Tree. This is the second unit poem in our plus 2 syllabus. In this poem, the poet has described about the casuarina tree in the first stanza. In the second stanza, she explains various living things surviving in the tree and its features in winter season. In the third stanza, she explains how much closer she was to the tree in her childhood. In the fourth stanza, she explains her fear towards death due to her disease. In the fifth stanza, she explains that she wants to give an eternity to the tree by writing that in the form of a poem. Now, let us go into the poem elaborately. Now, let us see about the poem. In our Casuarina tree, Toradette uses the tree as a symbol of her money as well as the rich tradition of Indian culture and philosophy which molded the poetic and aesthetic. Aesthetic means artistic vision of Indian poet creators. This is the tree under which she played with her siblings who are now dead. And this is the tree which also becomes a mystical and spiritual emblem symbol of their existence in her mind. Totally she is believing that in the tree or through the tree she could see her relations. K.R. Srinivasa Iyengar notes, our Casuarina tree is more than poetic evocation of a tree. It is recapturing, that is making the Toradette, making the poet to rethink everything which happened in the past and immortalizing, that is, it is becoming the everlasting thing, the moment of time. So recapture. The tree is both tree and a symbol, and in it are implicated both time and eternity. According to poet, that the tree is the symbol of eternity. So she wants to stay there in the tree through the literary work. That is, he is making the tree to immortalize through her words. And this is just the character of tree. It may grow up to 100 feet or more than 100 feet, and about the fruits and the flower of that pine tree is given here. Now let us start with the poem elaborately. See, this is the first stanza. Actually, first stanza is of 11 lines, and this poem consists of 5 stanzas. Each have 11 lines. Now let us start with the first stanza. Like a huge python winding round and round, the rugged trunk indented with scar, up to its very summit near the star. See here, python is a non-venomous snake. Non-venomous means non-poisonous snake, winding, that is circled and circled round the rugged trunk, indented means very deeply, with scar, dark marks, up to its very summit near the star. That is, the creeper has wounded itself round the rugged trunk of the casuarina tree like a huge python. The creeper has left deep marks on the trunk of the tree up to its top near the star. And a creeper climbs in whose embraces bound no other tree could live but gallantly. Gallantly means bravely. That is, no other tree except a casuarina tree can be embraced by this creepers. See here, like this, it has deeply indented with the tree and it is encircling the tree like a huge python. First stanza, second part. The giant wears the scarf and flowers are hung. Here, the giant wears the scarf. The tree is described as being gallant and possibly brave, as very few could survive in the strangle hold of this creeper. It is so very strong that it won't allow any of the plants to grow further. The giant tree looks like it is wearing a scarf with this flower on it. In crimson cluster, all the boughs among crimson cluster. You can see the meaning here. You just see crimson means deep red color. Jane means superhuman. In crimson cluster, all the boughs among where all day are gathered birds and bees. The cashew nut tree is covered with creepers, which bears red crimson flowers. All day birds and bees gathered around the tree. And off means often at night the garden overflows with one sweet song that seemed to have no close, sung darkling from our tree while men repose. Repose means state of rest. That is, at night, usually human beings take rest. Here it is mentioned. Let us see the explanation. Often at night, the garden echoes and seems to be jubilant, very happy, and the song of a nightingale has no end. It is continuously singing. The nightingale is continuously singing. It continues till dawn. Dawn means it continues till the sunrise while men take rest. But at the same time, human are taking rest. See, you can see two kinds of bird here. That black bird is called the cuckoo or nightingale or sweet singing. We have seen the first stanza. It had 11 lines, and we can start with the second stanza now. First, when first my casement is wide open through, at dawn my eyes delight on its rest. That is at dawn. At sunrise, when the poet opens her window, she is delighted. She became very happy to see the cashew nut tree. Sometimes and most in winter on the crest, a grey baboon sits statue like alone, watching the sunrise while on lower boughs its offsprings. See here you could see the imaginative picture of the baboon. Baboon is monkey. See we have seen here sometimes most in winter in the crest, in the peak, a grey baboon, a grey monkey sits like a statue, that too alone, watching the sunrise while on lower boughs. Boughs means branches. She could see the offspring of the monkeys. See, and for coquillas, hail the day, and to their pastures went our sleepy cows, and in the shadow on the boat tank cast by the whole tree so beautiful and vast, the water lilies spring like snow enmassed. Here and there the coquillas make the day pleasant and with sweet songs. The sleepy cows stroll on the pasture. Pasture means grazing land. That usually farmers will have the grazing land for the cattle, that is called the pasture. And then the shadow of the tree appears to fall on the huge water tank. The water lilies spring everywhere in the pond like the snow gathered or collected on the pond. What we have seen now in this stanza, see here in the casement, when she opens the casement window of her house, it is a very big bungalow. When she opens that, she become very happy because at the topmost crest of the tree the baboon is sitting, and in its lower branches one could see its offspring. This is the imaginative picture, that in the top of the tree the baboon is sitting, and in the lower branches its offspring are playing. And far and near coquillas hail, that is singing the song, and sleepy cows, because it has got up very earlier, so the cows are very sleepy, and in shadow on the broad tank cast by hor trees, that is the total tank is covered with, en mass means covered, gathered with mass, with the water lilies. The total scene looks very beautiful. And we can go to the next stanza. But not because of its not because of its magnificent dear is the cashew nut to my soul beneath it we have played, though years may roll, O sweet companion, loud with love intense, for your sake shall the trees be ever dear. Just it is not only dear because it is cashew nut tree, it is magnificent. More than that, it is having something to her in her life. The poet says that it is not because of its majesty and or the majestic appearance of the cashew nut tree that it is dear to her heart and soul. The tree is dearer to her because she had spent happy moments under it with her siblings. Toradette has brought out the theme of nature as something that shares feeling with humans, that lightens the burden on the heart. And here the next, see, this is the imaginative picture where she used to spend her days when she was very young with her siblings. You can see only three, this side three. There is a reason for that. I'll explain while we are reading the poem. Blent with your images, it shall arise in memory till the hot tears blind my eyes. What is the dirge? Dirge means mournful, sadful song, like murmur that I hear, that she is hearing some murmuring noise. Blend with, first line, blend with your image, it shall arise in memory till the hot tears blind my eyes. The poet continues with a description of how strong the image of the tree is, even when in lands far away. In her memory, the tree laments still it blinds her eyes with its hot tears. While she was thinking about the past, she could not bear her emotion, so the tears is blinding her eyes. What is the dirge like murmur that I hear? She can hear a tree lament even from where she studies. In France and Italy she studied. It is the strange lament cry that could perhaps he be here or reach the unknown lands, like the sea breaking a shingle beach. It is the lament or Eric speech that happily to the unknown land may reach. It may reach even to the unknown land. Unknown land, we can here we can mean that it may be a burial land. And then from here we are ending the which stanza? Third stanza. What did we see here? Now, in the third stanza, we could easily guess that she might have lost somebody in her life who was most important. So she is feeling like this. Unknown, yet well known to the eye of faith, I have heard that while far, far away in distant land by many a sheltered bay, the memory of the tree has deeply touched the poet's heart. A man who has the eye of faith can see the unknown as well known. That is, one could hear easily the things. The tree's lament could be heard far, far away in distant land and sheltered bays, sheltered seas. When slumbers means sleep in the cave, the water writhe, and the waves gently kiss the classical shores. The shore, not shores, the shore. The poet describes the earth as trance in the dreamless swan, bathed in the sea light of the moon and its shelter bay with the gently undulating waves. The tree's lament reaches the land of death, transcends territorial boundaries, and is heard by her in distant land and on classical shores of France and Italy. See, they have given few words meaning. Wild means cry of pain, bay means inlet of sea, wraith means ghost like image, shore means water nearer to land. When earthly lay trance in a dreamy less swan, and every time the music rose before, mine inner vision rose a form sublime. That is, the tree laments reaches the land of the dead, transcends, that is, transmits territorial boundaries to the all the lost place, and heard by the her in distant land and on the classic shores of France and Italy. But even while in a land of so beautiful, whenever the music rose in her mind, her eyes would see a form of sublime, that is calmness. Thy form, O tree, as Thy form, oh, it is in caps, tree, as in my happy prime, I saw thee in my own loud native clime. Even on foreign soil, her casuarina tree would appear before her inner vision just as she had seen in her own loud native clime, that is, in her native area. Wherever she goes, wherever she used to see the casuarina tree, she could see or she could feel that affection with the tree and also connect her even more strongly both with her native land and with the memory of her dead siblings. Both the things easily come to her mind whenever she sees the which tree? Casuarina tree. And here the next stanza. Therefore, I find would consecrate a lay unto thy honor tree beloved of those who now in blessed sleep for a repose. Here the poet immortalizes the tree. She would like to dedicate a lay in her honor on the of the tree because it is beloved of those who now in blessed sleep for a repose, that is one who or those who had died. Lay means amateur. And then dearer than life to me, alas, where they mayest thou be numbered when my days are done, with deathless trees like those in Barodale. Tree is dearer than life to her. It should be there immortalized even after her death. That is her most important thing for her. And the poet placed the trees besides Wordsworth's Eve tree, that is pride of Latin Vale, standing in Barodale in the Lake District, under whose branches lingered pale, where they continued to live in pale shades. That is, her tree also want to be in eternity like the tree of Barodale in the poem of Wordsworth. Under, this is the last part, under the whose awful branches lingered, that is the branches connected, that too it is very pale color, fear, trembling, hope and death, the skeleton, all the things are related to death. A man of unflinching love and devotion never fears the blow of death. The man one who is totally hate the life will not like to live in this world, so he or she automatically welcomes the death. Here that is the thing going on. And time the shadow, and though weak the verse, that would thy beauty find, oh fine rigors, may love defend thee from oblivion curse. She does not express any desire to fade away and dissolve. The cashew tree does not make her long for easeful death. She know very well she is having the tuberculosis, so her death may not be a easier one. Instead, even though its timelessness marks the transience of the human world, the tree is to her a support. The tree is totally a support. It is giving a mental relaxation to her, a reminder of joy she once experienced in her sibling. Now we have completed the 5 stanzas. In the first stanza, as I have told you in the beginning, she says about the tree, and in the second stanza, she is saying about the things what she could see in the tree, and her relation with the tree is explained in the third stanza. And in the fourth stanza she could see how the death is nearing to everyone, and in the fifth stanza she wants the tree to be in eternity through her words. Now we could see few of the appreciation questions. Just you see, let me expand. What is creeper compared to? The creeper is compared to a python. How does the creeper appear on tree? The creeper with its flowers appear like a scarf. Name the bird that sings in the pite's garden. The bird is Kokila, which welcomes the day with her song. What has Wordsworth sanctified in this poem. Wordsworth had sanctified the solitary E tree. Which tree is referred to in the above line? Casuarina tree is referred. How does the tree survive? The tree is strong and hold of the creeper. Thank you. We can see the appreciation questions in the next class very detailedly with the poetic devices. Now you can continue with the paragraph and this few appreciation models. Thank you.